What's up, Peace Kids? It's Noelle back with another video, and today is Father's Day. So hopefully you're getting to spend the day with your dad, or maybe your grandpa or an uncle, or just a father figure in your life today. Now guys, I want you to know the most important father figure in your entire life that you'll ever have is God. He is the ultimate father figure. He is our heavenly Father, and he gives us everything that we need. Today, we're going to talk about a guy named Jonah. Jonah did not make a very good decision, and today we're going to see what God told him to do and how he didn't listen and the consequences he had for not listening. So today, guys, I really am just going to read this story to you, and hopefully you just listen and you hear how Jonah did not do what God wanted him to do. He did not listen. He made a bad choice. So this comes from the book of the Bible called Jonah, and we're going to briefly go through chapters 1 through 3. Jonah was a prophet of God. A prophet is a person chosen by God to give God's messages to the people. You would think that a prophet would always obey God, but that's not exactly what happened in Jonah's case. Our Bible passage opens up with God telling Jonah to deliver a message to the people in Nineveh. Let's read what the first two verses say in Jonah. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. It's a hard word. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. From these first two verses, we can see that Nineveh was a big place full of wicked people. God told Jonah to go there and to preach against the wickedness, and let's see how Jonah responded to that. Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. That's another weird word. There's so many weird words in the Bible, guys, but we are doing our best to try and pronounce them correctly. So God told Jonah to go to Nineveh, but he headed for Tarshish instead. Tarshish was a town in the opposite direction, and Jonah thought he could hide from God. So let's continue our story. When Jonah heard what the Lord commanded, he shook his head vigorously and said, "No way am I going to Nineveh." See, Jonah tried to hide from God. Imagine you have a piece of saran wrap. If you don't know what saran wrap is, it's something your parents or grandparents may use. It's long, and you put it on top of like a casserole, or wrap it around in some fruit, or just something to keep things fresh. But it's clear, so you can see right through it. So Jonah trying to hide from God was kind of like him trying to stand behind a piece of plastic wrap. So Jonah said, "There's no way I'm going to Nineveh." So instead, he said, "I have an idea." He clapped his hands and jumped up and down. So Jonah ran down to the town of Joppa or Joppa? It's a hard word. It was near the water. He thought the Lord couldn't see him. Jonah looked all around and finally saw a ship headed for Tarshish. Jonah ran right up to the ticket window. He counted his money and he paid for the ticket. Then he climbed aboard the ship. And Jonah still thought God couldn't see him. Isn't that crazy? Jonah went on this boat thinking, "Oh, I can hide from God. I can run away. He will not see me on this boat." But let me tell you something, guys. It is impossible to run away from God. God saw Jonah's every move. He had been watching him the whole time. See, you can't see God because, he's up in heaven. He's the maker of the universe. But he knows everything about us, and he can see us at all times. He knows exactly what moves we're going to make. He knows exactly what decisions we're going to make all the time. But we got to finish our story. Let's see what happens next. Maybe you've heard the story of Jonah. So he ran away from God. He didn't make a good decision. So what did he do next? He goes on this boat, and the storm comes, and these waves are crashing on the boat, and the only way the waves will stop and the storm will stop is if they throw Jonah off the boat. So these guys are like, "What? What do you mean? You want us to throw you off the boat?" And he's like, "Yeah." So they throw him off the boat, the storm stops, and Jonah gets eaten by a whale. Can you believe it? Can you imagine getting eaten by a whale? Now here's the craziest part. He did not die. Well, and we don't really know if it's a whale. It just says a big fish, but we just assume a whale because they are the biggest living creatures in the ocean. He gets swallowed by this fish or whale, and he's in there for 3 days and 3 nights, and he's praying to God, please, please, I want to do what you want me to do. He finally realizes that he needs to do what God told him to do instead of running away. Have you guys ever been in timeout? Have you ever made a wrong decision and your parents had to put you in timeout? You did something bad and you have to sit there, and it's usually not very long, maybe 5 minutes, maybe only 1 minute, or just something short. Well, Jonah in the whale was like a 3-day long timeout. He had a lot of time to think about what he did and what the wrong decision was and what he needed to do to make it right. When we disobey, there are consequences. We will get punished for the wrong that we do. Here's what I want you guys to know. Following God is always the right choice. Listen, if you love your parents and you know they love you, they want the best for you. So when we do something wrong, the thing that we have to do is sit in time out so we know what we did was wrong. That way, when we do it again, we think, oh, I better not because I will have a consequence. That's what helps us learn. If we don't have a punishment or a consequence, then we're just going to keep doing these wrong things over and over again without maybe even knowing that we're doing them wrong. That's why fathers are so great. They try to lead us and guide us in the right direction, and it's our choice to make sure that we go the right way. And when we don't, we'll probably end up making a big mistake and have some major consequences. Sometimes it may be scary, and sometimes we may have to do things we don't want to do. Jonah did not want to go to Nineveh because it was a scary, wicked place, and he didn't feel like he was equipped to do the job. But God told him to go, and when God tells us to go, we need to go. God knows what's best for us, and it is our job to follow God, because following God is always the right choice. And it may not always be easy, it may not always be fun, but at the end of the day, it'll be the best blessing of your life when we follow what God has for us. So today, guys, make sure you thank your fathers or grandfathers for all the good things that they do for you and the right directions that they lead you in. And make sure to always follow them and listen to the good things that they have to say. And do that with God too. He has so much love for you and he wants the best for you. So make sure that you listen to him and follow God, because it is the right choice. Alright guys, have a great Father's Day. Hopefully you remember this awesome story about Jonah and how our bad choices have consequences. Always make the right choice, always follow God, and respect your fathers and your mothers. Love you guys. Bye.